everything else is... Oh, there's a 19. Everything else has been like a 1, a 2, and a 3. See, now I'm rolling good because I'm talking shit about it.
That's how the steampunk dice was. It was awful until I'd rolled it a couple times. Where are my dice? Megan, where are my dice? What did you do with them?
Hide them?
That's because you're a goblin. That makes sense.
Yeah, sorry.
So, how much of a bonus do you think food and natural?
Say again?
Yeah, I can barely hear you.
Hold on. I'm rejoin this.
Oh, that was... No, that was actually better. Whatever you just did.
Well, I'm testing out my tablet, and it's just being a punk.
Where did I put it last night?
Oh, where are you all? All right, I'm going to go grab a cup of coffee, and then once Michelle is ready, we can start.
Okay. It's because of the skylight, right? I wanted to get coffee, so. The roll dice are gonna work tonight. Probably not. Maybe. They don't know yet. They haven't made up their minds. Michelle,
Yeah,
did you see the pork socks I showed you?
I did.
I ordered you a set.
Oh, did you see?
Yeah. Your dice keep like rolling like shit, and then as soon as you're like now you're going in dice, you know they roll a 20.
Well, we're like 2 or 2, like 20. Oh.
Okay. No. I don't know. Why do you have so many books on your knees? Or because you were up on a roof all day fixing the fucking AC somewhere?
Somebody else fucked up on installation.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that they installed it that way. I was like, are you kidding me? Why would you put the cords over the fans?
That's like stupid.
The best part is when they bent the fan blade, so to get it away from the force, that ended up being sucked into the fan blade anyway.
They what?
Oh, you didn't see it?
No.
You know, they fucking bent the fan blades. On purpose.
No, that makes it even like more ineffective.
Do you know who installed it originally?
Some dumbass.
Yeah, I don't know. 'Cause they were there before I was here.
They had AC back then?
sent me that one.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize they were bent.
No, yeah, and the only thing that would have bent them is if somebody got in there and bent them.
Bent it, yeah. That's so stupid. I hit the bed. I just fell off. Ready when you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, recapping last session real quick, we learned that fish is somewhat undercooked, dwarves sleep in water, charisma is a thing, holy water helps with every situation, and null barbarians are difficult to kill.
Yeah, that's it.
Sounds about right.
Alright, so Sarge, you have successfully poked Darer the Blurch in, I think you finalized the toe was your target because you're so short. He has dropped dead, and what would all of you guys like to do?
I'm looking for shit. I want that shit, but I want to go pillage that bastard thing. I got woken up at 3 for I had to kill the crap. I want.
Okay, now wait, when you say you're looking for shit, you mean loot, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's about to make you roll a search check for actual shit.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Oh,
I'd like you to watch an I need you to roll an excrement check. Thanks.
They almost shit themselves.
Right.
I gotta remember that.
Now, I'm sorry, were you saying, what would you like to start searching first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and search. Let me see. I'm trying out my tablets, and it's give me a second. I'm looking.
Okay.
I'd like to look at the barbarian first.
Okay. Can you try pinging him so that we can see if you can do it from your tablet? Awesome.
Hey.
Fantastic. All right, roll a search check while I pull up his possible.
Shit.
Yeah, the stuff that you might find.
Cool. That's the shit roll. I did not re-roll my die. Yeah, I got a fucking 7.
7. Well, you see the great axe that he's been using the entire fight, and you do kind of notice that you haven't been able to see most of the fur on his chest, and at this point you realize it's because it's obscured by a breastplate of some kind, and those are the 2 items that you find. Squirrel, what would you like to do?
Not die. Let's see.
I make no promises.
I guess I'll go ahead.
To be clear, there are some other bodies on the deck of the ship. I just was deleting them as the battle went on.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go ahead and rummage through the bodies that I shot with my arrows. I'll search through them while I'm trying to see if my arrows are salvageable.
Okay, roll a search check.
17 total.
17, not bad. If this would let me scroll down. No, are you frozen?
No, I'm warm.
That's because. There we go.
Just let it go.
Okay, so, no, now you're scrolling too far. Go back up. Should not be like a 15-second delay on this. That's too high. There we go. Okay. So you managed to recover about 5 of your arrows. The rest were unfortunately broken upon impact, or a few of the arrows that you missed with have just sailed off into the ocean. You could probably find them if you went for a swim. In addition to those 5 arrows, you do find... Let me see. You killed... Okay. You find... You said you were just searching the ones that you killed, or are you just kind of searching all over?
Yeah, pretty much search the ones that I killed out of them, pulling out the arrows, see what else they have on them.
Okay. You do find 2 sets of leather armor that the gnolls had been wearing. You find 2 steel shields, 2 battle axes. You find 20 additional arrows that were in quivers that each of the gnolls had, though none of them used any ranged attacks.
Alright, say again. 2 sets of leather armor, 2 steel shields.
2 battle axes, 2 short bows, and 20 arrows.
Is the spellcaster knoll somewhere around there?
Spellcaster Knoll is lying on the wooden plank that's being used as a makeshift bridge. I think I can drop him back in, since he's dead.
Can you go search?
Well, actually, it is Ravi's turn, because she hasn't done yet.
Okay, besides Muscles over there, who else is looking really bad? I know Whale Dude.
Yeah, Whale Dude is still unconscious. He's still in the negatives, but you did stabilize him. And last you saw, Chi was doing really bad. Like, she was at 0 hit points, which meant if she's taken any strenuous action at any point, she would have fallen unconscious and started bleeding out. But because she's out of all of your lines of sight, you don't know if she's still conscious or even if she's still alive.
Okay, I'm gonna quickly pour one of my Cure Light Wounds potions into the Whale Dude's mouth.
Now I feel like you have several spells left. That's correct, right?
Not really. Not that I prepped.
When I was you don't prep yours.
Oh, I can choose them?
Yeah, no, you're spontaneous, just like a sorcerer.
Oh, fuck that shit then. I'm gonna use a Cure Moderate Wounds on Whale Dude then.
Okay. Yeah, I got, when I was listening through the audio, I got the sense that maybe you had been prepping yours, but it's good to know that you were. Yeah, you don't. If any time when you're reading the character, the description, the information of the character class, if it says spontaneous caster, that means you're like a sorcerer. You can just throw anything that you have at them.
Sweet. Okay, then I'm just gonna use my last second level spell and use a Cure Moderate Wounds on him.
Okay.
And I'm gonna use my amulet to heal myself as well while I'm at it.
Sound shiny.
So 2d8 plus 11. 7 and 11 is 18, which puts me at full.
And puts him at 16. He starts to shift and stir, and his eyes open, and you hear a long, groaning sound that sounds like a bunch of really long syllables of consonants being strung together. You don't understand what he's saying, though.
Okay. And then I'm gonna quickly use a Cure Light Wounds on Muscles. Actually, this rolls better. Rolls crap. 13. Oh, yep.
And
Please don't mention it.
okay.
Really?
And I'm gonna run and try and whoop. That was not what I wanted to do.
2 spells would put it back at Sarge's turn. So, Sarge, who was it you were wanting to start looking through?
Kind of, as I'm like, I want to, namely hit that, spellcaster.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a search check.
Now 20, and then I have 2 for my modifier.
So 22. Okay, where is he? You find just a simple, average battle axe. Doesn't seem to be anything special. But you do notice that his eye patch does seem to glow slightly with some kind of magic. You don't know what it does, but his eye patch does seem to be somewhat magical. And the armbands on him seem to be the only jewelry of any significance.
Okay. And it's just a regular axe?
Yeah, just a regular battle axe.
I'm okay if I just put, like, magic armbands and eye patch with, like, a question mark until I figure out what they are.
Yeah, that works.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, in parentheses next to both of them, if you would put Knoll, that way in the future I know where you got them from.
Okay.
Alright, and that will bring it back to Shinaru.
Okay. I am actually curious on what happened to the captain, so adamant trying to keep her alive. So I'm going to go ahead and head toward the direction she ran into.
Okay. As you walk into the captain's quarters, you notice her crumpled on the ground, passed out. Is there anything you would like to try to do?
Can I guess go ahead and try to see if she's still alive or breathing. And then,
Yeah. Go ahead and make a heal check.
oh yeah. 19, 12 plus 7.
19. She is still breathing, but she is bleeding out, and if she doesn't get some kind of attention, she might die. She might stabilize on her own. You're not sure.
Okay, I'll pretty much at this point kind of call back that the captain's down, not doing so well.
Is it my turn now, or?
Yeah, it is. It would be.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm not going swimming. Come back. I'm gonna run in and I'm gonna I want to use my skill focus or skill trick, healing hands.
Okay. Go ahead and make a heal check.
18.
All right. Go ahead and roll a d6.
5.
All right. She's back up to 0. Her eyes briefly flutter open, and she starts clutching her rib like she's in a lot of pain. She is conscious. She is stable, but again, any strenuous action will cause her to fall back unconscious.
Can I use my last cure light wounds on her?
If you would like to.
I would like to. So I know. Mine is 13.
All right. She heals up to 13 hit points. And you watch as some of the smaller gashes and wounds begin to close on their own from the magical healing, but some of the larger cuts are still there, though they're much more shallow, and it looks like she's going to end up with several scars in the long run. But she is up to 13 hit points. She is alive and healthy. And with 2 actions, that brings it to Sarge. Is there anything else that you would like to do?
The door. Did Lord Thatcher took point 50 damage?
Can you say that one more time?
Thatcher took damage.
Yes, he took 12 points of damage. No, he took more than 12. He's down to 15 health out of... He's less than half health.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use a charge on my belt to heal him.
Okay, that's your second charge. Say that again.
No, I'm just trying to figure out my dice.
Megan, we are getting a little bit, or at least I'm getting a little bit of static from you.
stature.
Alright, that brings him up to 28. And, is there anything else you would like to do, Sarge?
I'm gonna wander back to the main area and just check on, see if anybody else is in really dire straits.
Okie dokie.
But I do have one. And while I'm doing that, can I look around for anything else that anybody might have missed?
Yeah, you can go ahead and roll a general spot check, or, a general, search check.
20 total.
20 total. Alright, yeah. You go ahead and you start searching through the knolls that Shinaru did not. You find 6 sets of leather armor, 6 steel shields, 6 battle axes, 6 short bows, 60 arrows.
Their armor. Big shield.
Steel shield.
Six short bows and 6 sets of leather armor. What size are gnolls? Are they medium, small?
They are medium.
Alright, and then, Thatcher's been used to shape count. Has anybody checked on, Dina?
Not yet. That was my next course of action.
Let's pretend we're kind of all congregating in there and be like, hey, Blondie.
What?
How's the captain doing?
Better now.
You got any more juice in that healing spells left?
Just a little bit. Real little bit.
There's one more person we're missing. Where'd she run off to? Did you see?
The first mate, she should be in the next room over.
Okay, why don't you go check on her and... Where the fuck did Max go?
Max?
Sarge's teacher.
Oh.
Hey kid, get over here.
He can't hear you from where he is.
Where is... is he at the top or the bottom?
He's in the middle.
Is he like in the bowels where the robe? Cause he's there, right?
Yep.
But Sarge doesn't know.
I'm looking for him. No, I didn't see him go down.
Alright, so while you're looking for him, we're going to take it to... Shinari, what would you like to be doing?
I'm gonna go ahead and keep talking with the captain. Is the captain pretty much coherent at this point?
Yes, darling, I am.
Okay.
I should warn you, my accents are terrible.
Everyone guess.
This is supposed to be French.
Oh god.
Michelle and I have the same reaction. Oh my god.
Just like what I would imagine. What pretty much like, how often she sails these seas at this point?
Oh, I actually have... I think I have that written down.
We just have a moment for Muscles, like, hitting up on the captain, like, moments after she just died.
Almost died.
Like, so, you come to these waters often?
Flexing.
Right? Like,
He's totally flexing.
Accidentally leaning over my shirt a little more.
Okay, so I don't actually have that written down. But, we sail these waters 3-4 times a year.
How it's just something that...
Pirates attack the ships all the time, but I do admit this was a little different. The ship just appeared out of nowhere. We had no warning. Normally, we see a pirate ship, Flamingo creates a gust of wind, we go faster, we outrun them. But this one, we didn't see it coming.
Is there any, do I notice any fog around as I look around?
Yeah, it's weird. Inside the ship, there seems to be no fog. You're pretty. Oh wait, you're actually at the door, so you can look outside. No, it's clear night. Lots of stars, lots of moonlight.
Interesting. Okay. I guess I'll go ahead and go to one of the dead gnolls that's the closest dead gnoll to me. Does it look like a normal, is it seem like it's normal as far as what I would consider? I don't know if I have much experience with gnolls.
Go ahead and roll a knowledge nature check. 10 total. You don't have much experience with gnolls. As an elf, you have heard tales of gnolls. They occasionally, would attack some of the elven outposts and whatnot, and rumors and information like that would make its way to you over the years. But this is pretty much the first time you've encountered a gnoll with a roll like that. So yeah, you can't really tell any difference. It's not, well, I mean, it's not it's a dead gnoll, so that's a pretty big difference.
Right. Okay. Well, at this point, I'll just kind of pretty much end what I'm doing at this moment.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
That pretty much ends what I'm doing.
Okay. That brings it to Ravi.
Quick question: are you still getting static?
No, that's gone.
Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna go try and. I know where Gina is as long as she didn't move. I'm gonna go check on her.
Yeah, she's in the exact same place. Although, oddly enough, she actually does seem to have a wine glass now that seems to be pretty full.
Does she look healthy?
Yeah.
Does she need...
Yeah, she's looking pretty healthy. She's looking well over half health.
Okay. Alright, then I'm gonna go. Sarge seemed okay. How is Whale Person? After I gave him that healing.
He is almost at... he has a... Okay. Make a heal check real quick to see if you can ascertain what his hit points are.
14.
14? You know that he's more than half health.
Okay. Sarge seemed to be okay, from what I saw. More or less.
More or less, yeah. I think he's just over half health, from what you could gather.
Okay. I'm just gonna put 2 fingers to Gina's forehead and say a blessing from Kaler for you, and use one cure minor wounds on her. And then I'm gonna... So she gets a 1 whole hit point. A blessing from Kaler for you. And I'm gonna go back and I think I'm gonna use the rest on the captain. I have 4 more. I'm just gonna pour them all onto the captain.
Alright, so while you're doing that, I'll adjust her. She's up to 17. Michelle, what would you were searching for Maxwell?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a leash on that kid.
Alright, so are you mostly just searching the upper deck, or do you eventually head underneath? Or do you, actually roll a search check to see how quickly you find him.
I was gonna say there's stairs right there, but yeah.
Well, yes, there are.
12.
12. All right. Okay. Yeah. Eventually, you do find, because these stairs right here
Yeah.
are not that it's.
I was there.
Yeah, no, it's these ones go down to here, and then these ones are the same as these ones, which go down to here. Yeah. But yes, you do eventually find him. You see him rummaging through some crates on the middle level.
Hey, kid, you find anything in there?
He throws a small, almost like a pebble at you. I need you to make a dexterity check to see if you can catch it.
With that, my roll plus modifier?
Yeah, plus your dexterity modifier. Or actually, do you have, is there a, not balance, climb, I don't think there's a skill for that. So yeah, just your balance, your, 10? Oh, he rolled pretty good on his throwing. So, you reach out your hand and you have to kind of grab for it a couple times, but you manage to grab hold of what looks like a pretty decent-sized pearl.
Huh. Well, that's something. What else you got in there?
There's this vial of green liquid, greenish-white liquid. He holds it up, kind of rotates it in his hand. And there's a couple coral bars, too. I'm sorry, Michelle, I didn't hear that.
Yes. Well, did you bother bringing a pouch or anything to put those in?
The crowbars? No, I don't have a pouch for a crowbar.
The flasks. Piles.
I mean, I got my pockets.
Okay, that'll work. Can I take a look through whatever he's going to see if I see anything?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I'm not gonna find anything. That's a. I rolled a 2.
Specifically because he pointed out the crowbars, you do notice the crowbars.
Oh, that's good.
All right. So yes, on your sheet, add 1 golden pearl.
1 what?
Golden pearl. And that brings it back to Shinaru.
Okay, I'm pretty much gonna, how far are we from, shore, do you think, at this point, Captain?
She thinks for a moment. We are... Well, it's only about 1 in the morning, so about 13 hours? 14 hours? Assuming a decent wind?
Can I tell, like, if I go outside, can I tell how, if the ship looks damaged at all?
Yeah. Go ahead and make a spot check.
19 in all.
You do notice the deck of the ship. There's a particular section, probably right about here, right underneath the no captain's body, that seems to have a massive gash through it from where he rolled to hit a 0 armor class and did like 23 damage. Aside from that, there are some scorch marks and there's a lot of blood, but most of the damage just seems to be aesthetic, aside from that one particularly large gash where there is a small gaping hole now that reveals the undersection of the ship.
Okay. So at this point, I'm just gonna say, perhaps we should just throw the dead bodies out to sea and maybe try to get some rest before we hit shore. Cause I'm pretty banged up myself. My muscles could use a rest.
Actually, at about this point, I believe the ray attack would have worn off, so your strength is back to normal. If Michelle would...
Yeah, I think Sarge and Lord Max are gonna start wandering. Come on, kid. Get some rest. It's been a long night.
Oh, so we're going back?
Well, I mean, unless if you do a search check to see if there's any... Is there one more level of the ship?
Yes, you're in the middle level. There is still a lower level.
Okay, yeah, let's take one more look and take a look at the lower level and then go. I forgot that my screen's abysmally small right now. Okay.
Alright, I'm moving you.
Wait, let's swim. Okay.
Okay. I need 1 second to bring the crates to the proper level.
And I have taken one of the crowbars that the kids so basically made out.
You could, yes. He didn't take them.
Okay, I grabbed one.
Alright. And yeah, on this layer you see 3 piles of crates. If you would like to search any one of them.
Yes, I would.
Probably not a mimic.
Probably not a bit. Really? Can I, smack at it with the crowbar before I try getting into it?
You absolutely can.
I would love to do that.
Alright, roll an attack roll against which crate? Set. Okay, so this is one.
Oh, I see the other one, okay.
This is two. Oh, you want to do one? Okay. Alright, roll to attack.
13 plus whatever my crowbar was.
Alright, so 13 plus, it would be 13 plus 4 because it's an improvised weapon. So 17, yeah, you managed to successfully hit the crate. And it, roll damage.
What dice?
1d6 plus 3.
Okay. I didn't put crowbar on my 13. 7.
7. Yeah, you smack one of the crates and it just... The lid starts to buckle and cave in. It does not appear to be a mimic.
Winner, I'm going to start tearing into it.
Alright, roll a search check.
There's a little bit of anger issues started to deal with right now. Alright. 12.
12, okay. You find... And you don't find all of those, so it's only going to be... Alright, so you find 3 brass mugs, 15 bottles of wine, and 25 candles.
Fuck yeah, wine!
It is human wine. Alright, and Shinaru, you said you were wanting to go back to bed?
Yeah, I was gonna pretty much kind of start throwing the dead gnolls over the water, and then I know we lost one, I believe the cook. I was gonna see if
We also lost the Sailmaster.
and the Spellmaster. I was gonna see what the captain wanted to do with their bodies.
Okay. Alright, yeah, you can start throwing the gnolls overboard. That'll probably take a few minutes. Ravi, what were you wanting to do?
I'm actually going to ask the captain, because I saw those guys go down. I'm going to ask her if she, what she wants to do with them, if she wants to perform funeral rites now, or
Who do you mention first?
I'm going to mention, the first one I saw go down is the Sailmaster. I'm going to mention him first.
Okay. Let's see if she can keep it together. 19, okay. She looks a little taken aback at you informing her that Flamindur had been burned to death. Her eyes go wide for a second, and her breath gets a little shallow and rapid. But she nods solemnly, and she says, "Yes, darling, when we make ports, we'll make sure he gets interned properly."
Okay. I'll mention the cook and whoever else went down. I think there was one other person.
No, it was just the cook.
Oh, just the cook? Okay.
Yeah. She thinks for a moment, and she says, "When we make land, we'll give him a proper cremation."
Okay. What would you like us to do with the bodies in the meantime?
If you could help our quartermaster take them down to the cargo area. We have some stones that produce a gentle repose effect. We normally use it to help with keeping food from spoiling, but it will preserve their bodies until we can make land.
Of course. And then I go out and I'm guessing the whale is the...
Yes.
Yeah, I'll tell him what the captain said to do, and I'll follow him.
All right. As you approach, he says, "Hello, small child." This is the first time you've heard.
6'2".
This
How
is.
tall is he for me to be small?
He's about 6'8", actually. He I also forgot that you were 6'2".
I did not know you were 6'2".
I'm a much shorter than him. Hello, small child.
Hello, small child. This is the first time you've heard him speak in common, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, so you tell him what the captain said, and you guys start lugging the bodies down into the cargo area. That brings it back to Sarge. Did you want to loot the other two?
Yeah, let's look at the other two.
All right, roll 2 search checks.
Yeah, I'm rolling like shit. One's 11
Okay.
and 12.
11 and 12. All right, you find a miniature chestnut carving that depicts a furious mermaid,
Excellent.
and you find a battered copy of, I'm going to have to copy-paste this, a particular book.
Ooh, it's a Tusk glove. That would be awesome.
It is not.
Folio of Veiled Engineering by Prioress Quenlin.
Oh, but I wanted smut. Okay.
Well, I mean, you haven't read it yet. You don't know if it's smut.
It's true.
You also, with your second, with the second roll, in the other crate, you find a beautiful maple knitting needle.
There's like one knitting needle in the whole fucking crate.
Yes.
Where?
All right.
One. Oh, that's a big ass, like, freaking Folio Veiled Engineering. Alright, at that point, I'm just gonna take my haul and haul back to the then.
Okay. And is there anything anyone else would like to do before trying to get back to the sleep?
Just for flavor, I'm gonna, as I'm going past the cabin, like, Captain's cabin, I'm not gonna say anything, I'm just gonna kind of knock. Is the door open to her cabin?
Yes, the door is open.
I'm just gonna kind of walk in, pull out a bottle of wine, set it down, and then just walk out. And then as I turn, as I say, I was like, "It's been a rough night. This should help." And then go back to the couch.
All right.
Where did you go? We've lost the Shinaru. Oh, there he is. No, Sarge was on top. Oh, Sarge was on top.
I've had a nickel for every time.
Alright.
All right, so are you,
somewhere?
Shinaru? Are you also throwing over the body of Dara the Blurch?
Yeah.
Okay, he's now swimming with the fishes. Now there are two. There are two heavy plank bridges connecting the Clockwork Nervin with the Null ship, and while a majority of the apparatus is solid, thick slabs of wood, it is set within a metal frame with several prongs impaling into your ship, holding it in place. So it's going to be difficult to set sail as long as these two planks are still anchoring you to an anchored ship.
Okay.
Here, I'm gonna attach them to this side since we're not going to be using the upper decks for a while.
I still got a crowbar on me.
You do?
Toss one of Muscle. I go, hey, Muscles, catch.
Michelle, roll an attack roll with your dex with your ranged modifier.
My range modifier is 19.
19? Okay, Muscles, roll a reflex save to see if you can catch it.
Reflex fine. That's 18 plus 9, so 27.
Alright. Sarge manages to throw it with just enough force at just the right angle that it sails through the air, and you reach up and you grab it successfully. You are now the proud owner of a crowbar.
Yeah, there's your melee weapon.
It works better than an arrow.
No, you don't know yet.
I guess I'll go ahead and start trying to get rid of this bridge that's attached to our ship at this point.
Okay, go ahead and roll a strength check.
Total 17 in all.
17, and you're using a crowbar. Okay. Yeah, it takes you a few minutes, but you manage to pry the prongs out of the side of the ship, and this particular bridge just kind of falls away. I mean, you still have to give it like a little shove off, but once you've disconnected it fully from the ship, it just kind of slams down and impacts the water below.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and head over to the second one as well. And pretty much do the same thing, except with a little more pizzazz.
Okay, this time roll a performance check for pizzazz.
If you're singing I'm Too Sexy, I'm Out, it's going to die.
Nothing.
Okay, actually, I don't know if I can because of the cross class.
No, you can do there's certain trained skills that you cannot do unless you have a point in, but you can do a performance check. 7. All right. What kind of pizzazz were you going for?
Basically, a flex, like basically, as I'm doing it, this is a special way to break bridges, handed down to the Armstrong family through generations.
Okay.
I'm doing the world's longest face palm right now, Moose.
You and me both.
Go ahead and make your.
At least we're not in the same room as him.
Go ahead and make your strength check.
12 plus 2 is 14 total.
14. So as you say that, and you're just so confident with your previous success, you declare that this is the Armstrong family way, and with a 14, you kind of keep trying. You keep not being able to pry it loose. You try a couple different angles. You can't get it, and you start getting more and more animated and more creative with the different angles and body poses that you're trying as you're trying to pry loose these prongs. But they're in there good.
I go and help the idiot with the crowbar?
I don't think you can see him from where you are.
I'm just kind of standing there watching the show.
You were in the yeah, there you go. Yes, you can try to help, sure. You take 2 points of psychic damage from having to watch that, though.
Oh no, I'm drinking wine.
Alright.
Well, you don't get.
Go ahead and roll a strength check to see if you can aid him.
21.
21? Okay, yeah, that's enough. Sarge just kind of walks up, slams the crowbar down in a particular crevice, starts prying back, and the metal slab that had folded over and impaling the prongs into the side of the ship, she just pries it loose, gives the bridge a shove, and it falls down into the water. Quick, efficient, dwarven.
Just for fun, we're gonna be like, I handed him the bottle of wine, took the crowbar, found the right niche because of my engineering knowledge, popped it, handed him the crowbar, took my wine, and now I'm going to bed.
I mean, if you really wanted to, you probably could have just used the bottle of wine to pry it loose.
Well, I wanted that hold my beer moment.
Oh, yeah, no, that works. Yeah, that is perfectly fine. All right. So you've had your hold my beer moment. You have successfully detached the ship. Is everybody going to bed?
My last charge on my belt, heal myself as much as I can, and try to get some sleep.
Okay. Go ahead and roll 2d8.
5 and 6, 11.
All right. You successfully heal 11. And then you go back and you begin continuing your rest. Is everybody else going to sleep too?
I am.
Okay.
Right before, when I was helping the whale person move the 2 dead bodies below decks, I just want, before I go to bed, I just wanted to say a quick prayer to Paylor over them, and then I'll go to bed.
Now, are you telling me that, or are you letting him know?
I know, I'm telling you that.
Okay. Then yeah, absolutely. What would you like to say in your prayer?
I don't know, I didn't think that much through. I hope Paylor likes your way. I don't know.
Roll a performance check. Performance prayer.
Performance prayer. 6.
Plus,
I don't know.
it should be your charisma, I believe.
Plus my charisma?
Yeah.
I don't have performance, so, 9.
9? Alright, yeah, you managed to give it's a pretty standard textbook prayer, and you're pretty sure you might have forgotten a couple lines here and there, but you get the point across, and what matters is that you believe it, and you believe that it will help.
Okay. Then I go to bed.
Alright, so everybody is sleeping, everybody heals up 5 hit points from your rest. And what time, Megan, were you wanting to wake up to do your meditations to get your spells back?
What's the earliest I can get up?
I'd say, realistically, you could probably get away with getting up at about 4:30, because you'd be used to rising early as someone who lived in a monastery.
Alright, I want to get up just before sunrise so I can go above deck and I can meditate and get my spells by watching the sunrise.
Yep, that would be about 4:30. That's why I assumed that's what you would want. So yeah. So the first person to wake up is Shinaru, because he only needs 4 hours of meditation as an elf. And then second person would be Ravi, who goes up on deck to watch the sunrise, followed by Sarge, who needed his full 8 hours of duty rest.
You can't tell, but I have Flint huddled next to me on the pillow by my head. And if any of you guys tell anybody that, I'll kill you.
Do you sleep with Flint at home too? IRL?
No.
No?
Let's say another day.
I would.
Yes, but you're a dork sleeper. You're giving me the puppy dog face. Stop it.
Chose that.
All right, so Megan, your spells are back. Everybody except you has healed up 5 hit points. Michelle, do you want me to keep track of your hit points in Roll20 since you're on your tablet?
I got it. It's actually not that hard.
Okay.
I have a mouse. It's just the screen's a little smaller, so I might be asking like, hey, give me a second to look at detail.
Makes sense. All right.
I mean, it operates like an actual computer in Microsoft Edge browser. So.
My belt recharges, doesn't it?
Yes, I think it technically recharges at dawn.
Yeah, I think so.
So it would be recharging as you're meditating, and then once you finish meditating, yeah, it's done.
Cool. The little description you gave me, Tyler, doesn't say when it recharges.
Well, hers is a little.
It's on there, but...
Hers is a little different. Hers is a specific named belt.
Oh, it's actually fine. Well, mine says renewed each day at dawn.
Okay.
Just for...
All right. Is there anything else you guys would like to do now that you're all awake and not dead?
Do we know how close we are to shore?
You can go ask.
Sarah required to get back to bed. Okay.
I want to go to the galley and I want to try to start making breakfast since I know our cook is dead.
Okay. You don't have craft food, do you? And you don't have. Okay. I'm gonna need you to make you head to the galley, and go ahead and make a general wisdom check to see how effective you are.
It's gonna be the worst episode of Chomp ever.
12?
12? You managed to find a decent stock of ingredients, and you start throwing some stuff together. You managed to make some boiled chicken and some chicken salad.
Of course.
Which is weird.
Is there some barbecue sauce?
No, unfortunately, there's no molasses here.
God.
But I will say, Ravi, it is a little strange because this entire journey, you have not had any chicken served to you at all. So you don't even know where you found this chicken. But it was there and you used it.
This is like
Is there anything else any of you would like to do? Anyone you would want to talk to?
I guess I'll go ahead and head toward or look for the captain. This time, Nim's following me. We're actually on my shoulder at the moment.
And
Fit on your shoulder?
Yeah, it's I believe Nim should be considered a small-sized creature at the moment with her reduced hit dice. I don't know if that's true, but I think it is.
I mean, the thing says small, so...
Yeah, so technically, you would not, in combat, it is not able to fit on your shoulder, but outside of combat, yes. It's more like, it's kind of, most of her is on your shoulder, but like, her back legs and part of her lower back is kind of hanging down your back and kind of clawing into it to keep perched.
Okay.
I mean, can she like drape around his neck? Like I've seen some cats kind of like
If she was a little younger, she could, but at this point, her size is a little too big.
Okay.
She's about the size of a good sized a small dog right now. She's much bigger than a normal house cat.
Okay.
All right, yeah, you find the captain, who is kind of rushing back and forth along the top deck, looking a little worried, rushing from one side, looking out, rushing to the other side, looking out, apparently going off the deck. That's not good.
Don't convince the goose.
So Sarge being Sarge, he's definitely going to be interested in breakfast. When he gets in there, does he, is this chicken salad looking any good, or?
Do you want to taste it to find out if it looks good, or do you want to just look at it to see if it looks good?
Well, smell it.
Okay. I mean, it smells like... It doesn't smell rotten at all. It smells like leaves and boiled water chicken.
Okay, I'm going to take a small bowl and take a little bite.
Oh, so you eat it? Okay, make a fortitude save.
Made a fortitude save. Yeah, that's a 1. Natural 1.
So, normally, it would be perfectly fine, but dwarves are actually allergic to lettuce, and it's weird that you forgot that. Your windpipe starts closing up a little bit, and you choke a little bit. You don't die or anything, but it is uncomfortable for a few minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna spit that out, get up, grab a tankard, fill it with ale, look at Blondie over there and go, liquid breakfast, and come back up to the top of the ship.
Okay.
I thought I did so good.
And you kind of reach down and pull out a piece of lettuce, and you start munching on it, and it tastes fine to you.
I'm gonna follow Sarge up deck.
Okay. And, Shinaru, what would you like to do?
Pretty much as I'm watching the captain, I'm pretty much gonna go, how fair is the captain?
Actually, do you have survival?
I do, I believe.
I hope he does. Yeah.
I do.
Alright. Go ahead and roll a survival check real quick to see if you notice what's going on.
I probably don't, because it's only a 3.
Yeah, alright. So continue with what you were saying.
Okay. How fair is the captain?
It's not very good, darling. Have you noticed? There's no wind. And actually, yes.
Is that normal?
No, normally we have wind. It's what makes the ship go.
Is Sarge close enough to overhear this?
I mean, yeah, you're within like 15 feet. Yeah, you can hear it.
Alright, Sarge kinda overhears this. Licks his finger, sticks it up like he's trying to check the wind and go, huh. So what's the plan?
Well, normally Flaminder, he would just make winds and we would go. But he is not here.
That's not good.
No, it gets worse. He's the one who makes our water and who purifies our food to make sure it is, edible.
I
Like-
can stop make wind.
I can purify our food.
Can you create water? Can you purify water?
Water?
I can purify food and drink, and I can create water.
Okay, well then we don't have to worry about dehydration. We might starve in a few months, but can you create wind?
I unfortunately cannot. I can speak with animals.
Well, yes, you are talking with me. I am a cat.
Not what I meant. I can cast good berry. We will have a small supply of good berries for a while.
Oh, let's see if she knows what good berries are. That's a 2. What are these good berries?
They're little magical berries you can eat. They heal you if you are hurting.
Do they provide sustenance?
I would assume so.
Well, that is good. Then we don't have to worry about starvation or dehydration. We just have to worry about heat stroke.
Fair enough.
And as you have been talking, you have noticed that as you've been glancing about, there's no ripples in the water. As far as you can see, is just a dead calm. There's no breeze. There's no waves. There's no ripples. You are in what amounts to a doldrum.
Shit. So, what can we do?
I'm gonna go below deck and I'm gonna talk to. I'm gonna talk to Jamal and I'm gonna talk to Jimmy Dean and see if they have anything useful to help us get moving again.
Okay. Which would you like to talk to first?
Jamal.
Okay.
Probably my choice.
So you approach his room, and do you just walk in, or do you knock politely on the door? Do you shout? How?
I knock politely and say, Jamal, it's Robbie. Can we speak?
Yes. Come in.
Okay, I go in.
What seems to be the problem, miss?
We are dead in the water. There is no wind. There is no current. We are stuck. I was wondering if maybe you had any way of helping.
He thinks for a moment. Actually, I'm going to pull up his character sheet, and because I can roll a character sheet. Skills. Where is it? There you go. He thinks for a minute, and he says, well, I suppose if we had enough spare wood, we could make some giant oars.
Are you strong enough to help with the oars?
Rowing? No, probably not. But I could help design them. Help make sure that they're going to be effective.
Maybe we'd have enough manpower between muscles and the dwarf.
I mean, it's not the most optimal solution, but it's a good plan C or D.
Alright, thank you, Jamal. I'll let you know if we take you up on that. And I'm gonna go talk to Jimmy Dean, sadly enough.
All right. So as you approach the door, it just kind of slides open. He sticks his head out, gives you that smile that he has, and he's like, hey, want to buy some holy water?
Actually, I'd much prefer a bag of wins if you have one to sell right now.
He pauses for a second. I need percentiles. Sold my last bag of wins like 3 weeks ago.
I'm sure. We're dead in the water. We're not going anywhere. There's no wind, there's no current, there's nothing. We're going to die here unless you can think of something to help us move.
Well, now, hey, hold on a second. Yesterday, you were saying that you could bless water, right?
I can bless water, yes, but I can't move it. I
Well-
can't create a current.
Well, why are we dead in the water? Are we dead in the water because of a natural phenomena, or is something making the water dead? Because as far as I know, when water's dead, well, any dead thing, holy magic normally fixes that, right?
It's a turn of phrase.
Roll a real quick. Roll a knowledge arcana check.
Do I even have a...
Yeah, you do. You do.
I was like, do I have that?
Roll a knowledge and knowledge check.
That'd be be an intelligence check. 16.
Okay, I need 1 second because my thing just froze. And I don't have this written down elsewhere, so if you could start responding, do the thing. Come on, it's not rocket science.
Are you sure?
I am positive. There's no rockets involved yet.
Yet.
No, it's frozen. So I'm gonna have to try to do this from memory. You do recall that. Oh no, it's done. Okay, now just like catch up, load. Let me scroll. Come on. Don't start working and then stop. That gets my hopes up. Well, fuck you.
When we're in how hard?
Well, I mean, as soon as you fly me out there, literally everywhere, and as hard as you can. Okay, so you recall that there are stories of areas of water that have been magically stilled and brought to a dead state, specifically so that people passing through them end up being trapped there and they die. It's normally some kind of powerful, moderately powerful necromancy that causes these effects. And while there are natural places throughout the ocean where doldrums do occur, you kind of get the feeling that someone like the captain, who has sailed these waters so often, would generally take the same route, and doldrums normally don't drift and move. So this is probably a new phenomena, and if it's a new phenomena that's happening right here, it's probably somewhat magical.
You might be onto something.
Yeah, always am.
And I'm gonna run up to the deck, back up to the top deck. And do I have to be able to touch the water in order to cast plus water?
That's a good question. Let's see. Is it a first level spell?
Yeah, it's a first level.
Okay. Makes holy water. Flask or water touched. Yes, you do have to be able to.
Muscles, lower me down. I need to touch the water.
Oh god.
You're about 45 feet up? 50 feet up? I don't know how tall ships are.
I have some rope I can tie to you.
Just don't drop me.
Alright.
Alright, Muscles. I need you to make a use rope check. Or actually, no, tell me what your modifier is.
Let's see.
5.
It's a 5, and I have this silk rope that makes much of a difference.
It actually might. Let me look that up. Rope silk. It provides a +2 circumstance bonus on use rope. Okay, so go ahead and roll a use rope check, and you're going to add an extra 2.
I think I might have put that in. Did my little thing?
You did not pick.
Okay, so yeah, 5 is just the normal without the. Alright. So I got a 10 plus the 5 that I have.
So 15, and then the circumstance of...
So it's 17 total.
Alright. You managed to tie a pretty decent knot around Ravi.
Sarge, would you please help him lower me down so I can bless the water?
Yeah, sure. Is the captain still hanging out on the...
Yeah, she is right. Yeah.
I walk over to her, literally go, hold my beer.
Is there any left in the tankard?
I might have gone for a refill.
Okay.
So I go and I help.
All right. So are you starting to lower her down now?
Yes.
Okay. So the way this is going to work is one of you two is going to make a strength check, and the other is going to make an aid check to see how much you help. So between the two of you, decide who's helping and who's actually doing the strengthening.
Who's got the highest strength mod? Please.
Probably Sarge. I'm +3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm +2.
All right. So Sarge, go ahead and roll your strength check, and Shinaru, please roll your aid check.
Add for that.
Oh, well, he's rolling a strength check, and as long as he gets over 15, that gives a +2 bonus to Sarge.
Oh, okay.
Good, because I'm on the 11 +3. What'd you get?
I got a 17 natural.
Okay, that's better than me.
Okay,
I can't.
so you
Yeah, so I
get
got 14 total.
14, 15. So with him, that boosts you up to a 16, and so it's a little jerky. And at one point, there's like a sudden 10-foot drop, but they do manage to lower you down to the water.
Alright, then I'm gonna cast Bless Water, and I'm gonna touch water.
You touch it.
Anything happen?
As you place your hand in, you mutter the spell, and you feel the positive energy coursing through your hand. And as you touch the water, instead of flowing into the water, it actually seems like it's being drained away by the water. I need you to make a reflex save.
Oh, fuck. You can probably do that. 12.
12. Okay. You take... Where is it? 1 point of negative energy damage.
Okay, so my HP drops then, or?
Yeah, you take 1 point of... Yeah, it's just... In case you
Oh,
were... I don't remember what your resistances are.
Gotcha. No, I don't resist that. I resist acid, cold, and electricity.
Alright. Yep. So you have used one first level spell, and you have taken 1 point of damage. Would you like to try again?
Actually, first I'm gonna cast Protection from Evil on myself, and then I want to try again.
Okay, I'm gonna need 1 second to look that up, but that's a good idea. And that's also a first level spell, correct?
Yes.
Protection from evil. Resistance on saves. Okay. Yes, you take out a little... Oh, you don't need that because you're a divine caster. Okay, yeah, you mutter the phrase, and you feel a surge of just positive power coursing through you, almost like a surge of adrenaline. So you've used one first level spell, and you said you were touching the water again to cast Bless Water?
Yes.
Okay. It's similar to last time. You feel the water begin to drain away the positive energy that's coursing through you. But because you're ready for it this time, I need you to make a spellcraft check.
Spellcraft?
Yes.
6.
6. You unfortunately are not able to think of any creative way to alter the spell, and the magic is drained away. I need you to make a reflex save, but your protection from evil does give you a +2 bonus.
Okay. 12.
Okay. You take 3 points of damage, and it's almost like the water is somewhat acidic, but it's not actually acid. Like, it's not burning through you. It just seems to be like seeping through your body into your very core, corrupting you just a tiny bit.
Okay.
You're down to 36.
Bring me back up.
I need Sarge to make a strength check.
21.
That's enough. Sarge and Squirrel help begin pulling you up, and you help by climbing up the side just a little bit, and you manage to get all the way up without falling to your death.
Sweet. I'm just going to turn to the captain and go, something's cursed the water.
That does not make sense. Why would anyone want to curse water? Water is already cursed. That's why we avoid it. She kind of hisses at it a little bit.
How close are we to the island? Right now.
You're asking her, right?
Yeah.
We're about 9 hours away. Possibly a little more. I don't think we noticed that we weren't moving immediately, so we could have been... It was a rough night last night. I'm not sure when exactly we hit these dead waters.
I want to say it's the island's influence.
Or I did find some interesting things on the other ship.
Like what?
Statue of a mermaid. Best. Want to take a look at it? I'm not good with any of these things.
Sure.
So I go in and I go grab that statue. Yeah, just kind of like, do you want to come in and take a look at all the shit I found?
Yeah, I'll follow you.
Okay. I mean, other than the weapons, got this off the spellcaster, and this is kind of the most oddball thing, was this needle and this mermaid carving. Can help us get out of the situation.
Can I inspect the mermaid carving to try and figure out what it is?
Yeah, let me look at what knowledges you have. Nature, religion, arcana. You can make a general sense motive check to see if...
It's not failing me.
You can do the, roll 20 if you really want to.
That would be good. 19?
19? You take the... You take the mermaid carving, you kind of turn it over in your hand, you peer at it, you inspect it closely, you hold it far away. It just appears to be a, what did I say, a chestnut?
Yeah, chestnut.
It just appears to be a solid piece of chestnut wood that is carved rather intricately, rather delicately. It's a very good carving. It does not seem to be giving off any malicious intent. And it just seems to be like one of those funny baubles that you would pick up in a seaside market. It's probably worth a small amount.
I also got this pure pearl, and again, this is kind of the stuff that was on that spellcaster.
The pearl was not on the spellcaster.
No, I said here's the pearl, and then here's the stuff on the spellcaster.
Okay. Yeah, so she hands you a small pearl. It's a little heavy. It's a little large. She also hands you an eye patch. that you can go ahead and make a knowledge religion check to see if you recognize, and she hands you a pair of armbands.
Cheer here.
5 on that religion check.
Nah, I mean, it looks like an eye patch. You're pretty sure it's an eye patch. So while this is going on, Shinaru, is there anything that you would like to do?
You're the captain.
Let's see. I really am at a loss at this point.
Okay, go ahead and make a spot check then.
So, 14.
14? Okay. There aren't really any clouds in the sky. As you look up, you do notice in the distance what appears to be possibly a flock of small things, probably birds, heading in your general direction, not specifically directly at you, but just towards your general direction in the distance.
Being a ranger, do I have like kind of knowledge that maybe birds might not be out this far in this far from land?
You can make a knowledge nature check to see if
15 plus 3.
You know that there are some birds that do fly out this far. I mean, they have to cross the ocean at some point. It would depend on what kind of birds they are, and from this distance, you can't really tell what kind of bird or what kind of creature they are.
How are they moving at what kind of a pace can I tell what kind of a pace they're moving at?
As you stare at them, they do appear to be growing larger, much faster than you thought they would. So they're probably moving at a fairly, probably at about 120. You would guess that their movement speed is probably about 60 feet.
I'm pretty much gonna Captain, you said you sell these about 3 to 4 times a year. How often do you see large flocks of birds this far out? Kind of pointing in the direction that the mass is moving toward us.
She looks up. She makes her own spot check. Well, that's not too bad. She says, well, I mean, we do see different types of seabirds. Occasionally some kind of flying monstrous creature that leaves us alone. But with all the strange going-ons that are happening right now, that looks like a bad omen.
Perhaps we should get everyone on deck.
That would... I think that would be a good idea, yes.
I'll go ahead and head down toward the down deck and try to gather everyone and say, hey, we got some possible bad omen from what the captain says. I don't know what's going on, but something's going on.
Do you...
Did we look at the pearl yet?
Look at the pearl real quick.
Yeah, that, during his conversation, you guys could have looked at the pearl. One of you, go ahead and make an appraise check.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah. Not that mine's probably much better than yours.
I will say, I'll give you a +2 circumstance bonus because you're a dwarf.
Okay. 19.
19? Okay, you estimate that it's probably worth about 110, 120 gold?
Okay. Doesn't give off any kind of aura, or can't take the armbands or anything.
No, and you assume that if it was magical, it would probably be worth more, and if it was cursed, it would be worth less.
Alright, gonna tap shiny object.
What?
You cut out a little bit. I believe you said you were going to put that shiny object back.
Yeah. Something had to make us, hit this doldrum. And the only thing that's out of the ordinary was getting attacked. Even the cat. I overheard the captain even say that.
Well, you overheard her saying that it was weird how the ship just suddenly appeared.
Weird, yeah. Did Lonnie take a look at the armbands yet?
She did, but she doesn't have anything that would let her, figure. She doesn't have an identify spell or even detect magic, so far as I know.
I have detect magic.
You're okay. Go ahead and cast detect magic and make a spellcraft check.
Okay, who's laughing in the background?
That's me.
My father.
Okay.
9.
9.
The armbands are magical. You can't really determine what the school of magic is, though.
Is anything else I'm looking at magic? Because I know detect magic lasts for 10 minutes.
The eye patch is magical.
Okay.
You also, assuming, did you look over any of the weapons?
Sure.
You do notice that 2 of the axes that Sarge collected from the gnolls, not the big gnoll, but just the generic gnolls. 2 of them have these weird bluish crystals set into them. And if you point that out to Sarge...
Which I will.
Sarge, you immediately recognize these as 2 augment crystals similar to the ones that you have on your weapons.
Maybe something, of course, of having a part of my other ones that I might actually recognize what they are.
Because you don't...
I saw them in a shop or wherever, but I just couldn't acquire them.
No, it's more with your search tech. You just kind of grabbed all the weapons that you could, and you haven't taken the time to look over them yet.
I know, but once she points it out...
Yeah, once she points them out, you know that, from your military training, you know that you can actually detach the crystal and attach it to your own weapons. You don't know what they do because you don't have any... You don't have any crystals that are exactly the same as these. These are slightly different than any of the ones that you've purchased or used in the past.
Like I said, would it have been some that maybe I've seen before?
No.
Okay.
No. Alright, so what do you guys do?
I'm gonna go to Jamal and say, why don't you go pitch your aura idea to the captain? Because it looks like that seems to be the only thing we can do right now.
He nods and he heads up to the top deck, if I'm on the right layer, and he begins talking with the captain. Kind of go into her room to discuss it more specifically. Anything else? Are you guys staying down here?
I guess I'm going through... I'm just going to go through everything that I got and just try to figure out, see if maybe I can just... I know I can pop them onto my weapon, right?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and pop one off.
As you touch it, you do notice that it does seem to have a lot of condensation all across it, and it does seem a little cool to the touch.
Go ahead and take one crystal and store it by itself. Does the other crystal, when I go to touch, does it kind of give me the same sensation?
Yes, they look exactly the same, and you get the sense that these two particular crystals are the same. They're just not crystals that you've ever used before.
And none of the other axes, even the big great axe, really looked like they were not pulled on the
No, all of the axes are, from what you know of augmentation crystals in general, you can put this on any masterwork weapon.
And the great axe would be, is that masterwork? Do I know?
Yes, you would be able to attach it to the great axe, and Megan, actually, when you look at the great axe, you do notice that it is also lighting up as magic.
Okay, I'll let her know.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and none of the other axes though by themselves are lighting up.
No.
Correct, Blondie? Okay. Has Megan looked at everything? Because I kind of laid everything out. So, like,
Yep.
bucket, like,
Yeah, she has looked at everything. Do you have Nim's character sheet up?
Yeah,
Yes.
What is her armor class?
13.
All right. Nine plus. Okay. Nim takes. Not that you guys know this. Nim takes 9 points of damage. What is her total health?
Her total is 10.
Okay. Oh, it's already in. I didn't realize it was already in the. Okay. So she's down to 1. Gina.
I thought she was still on my shoulders.
Oh, you know what? That is actually fair. You did say she was on your shoulders, so she would be with you. So she did not take any damage.
You're still on my shoulders?
Now, in the future, though, do try to keep her with you if she is with you.
Okay, sorry about that.
No. You are right, though. You did say that she was on your shoulders, and you never said that she came off. So, okie dokie. So what are you guys doing? You guys are having a good old time down in the down there, right?
I was saying that we should all go on deck because there was some activity that the captain thought was a bad omen. I was mainly going after the priest because I figured she would know the best after the person who was healing us all would know about the bad omen.
Chasing after a bad omen doesn't sound like a good idea.
I'm not saying chase after it, but maybe we should maybe you should take a look at what I'm talking about. Maybe you could go and think about a possible.
And it's at,
The water's first.
it's at this point that Jamal rushes back down, looks at you, Ravi, and he's like, "Man, there's some weird shit going on up there."
Like I was trying to say what he said.
What kind of weird shit?
Like weird dragon bird things and bolts of lightning, and lightning is not good for ships. No, it is not.
What the? I'm gonna go up the back. I'm gonna yell at Sarge and Muscles to follow me.
Okay. I put all the like small shit in my bag to store it, and I'm looking up Great Axe. Give me a second.
Oh, it is 1d12? Yeah. And it is a two-handed weapon.
I'll go ahead and I'll first have Nim get off my shoulder at this point. I'll run to my room and grab my weapons, my bolster and my bow, and go upstairs with Nim falling behind me.
You want him with you?
Yeah.
So, is it, how would I, if Tyler as DM, how would I, if I decided to choose to take it with me to use as a weapon?
Yeah.
How do I figure out my, how do I put it down for, my attack?
Right now, for your... Oh, I didn't want to close that.
Because right now, if I don't know if it's magic or not, I'm just going to have to assume it's my +8. But if it's got natural, it should be at least +9.
Yeah, it would be at least +9, and you are... It did light up as magic, and Michelle did tell you that, so you know that it is at least masterwork. So your total attack bonus with it would be +9. The damage would be 1d12 plus 4, and then its crit and would be whatever it says on the SRD. But, okay, Ravi, you have stepped out, so you notice 3 large, strange-looking birds. They kind of twist around. They have a... Let me enlarge that so that I can properly describe this.
Whoa!
They seem to have 4 sets of wings and a very long tail. Very sharp beak. They're kind of screeching out, and as they make a pass overhead, from their tail seems to start to glow, and a bolt of lightning shoots out towards Chiaki, hitting her for a... where'd my other D8 go? For 13 points of damage.
Oh. I'm just gonna scream, everybody inside.
Already there.
13. Alright, so you guys are running back inside. If you would move yourself where you would like to be. And then if I could get everyone to roll initiative.
What the fuck?
20.
Surge is 20.
I got a natural 20 plus 5.
25.
I got 5.
Ravi is 5. Shinaru is 25. And these... And so far as I'm aware, none of you have knowledge the planes, correct?
Nope.
No.
I almost took all the plans, but I think I went with geography.
Okay, I just feel stupid. I can't find Great Axe in the XP.
Did you check the Great Axe section? It's going to be under Martial Weapons, two-handed. I believe its crit modifier is ×3. I think that should be the only thing that you still need.
Yeah, that's definitely right. So, it's out of...
Yeah, it's just a ×3. So it only crits on a natural 20, and if it does crit, it does 3 times as much damage.
And its damage, you said, is 1d12 plus 4?
Yes, because you have to use it two-handed.
Yeah, I'm
Alright.
gonna go and do that. What the hell?
Okay.
See if I can figure out what it does.
Shinaru, you are up... everybody did get a chance to get inside. Shinaru, you are up first.
Okay.
If there's
Can
anything you would
I
like to do.
see any of these creatures by chance from because I'm in the doorway at the moment?
Yeah, from the doorway, you're able to see these two. Yeah, the two that you just looked to.
Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and see. I believe to pull my bow is the standard action, right? Or no, the move action.
Can you say that one more time?
Pull out my bow.
I mean, you said you grabbed it and you were taking it with you, so it would already be with you out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and try to take a shot at let's see. I'll take a shot at probably this one. I probably have the best view of.
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
This is just a normal shot. This isn't a rapid shot. So.
Oh, speaking of rapid shot, I actually looked it up. Rapid shot is a full round action.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'll need a full. 15 plus 11 for the attack.
15 plus 11, so that's 26. That hits.
Oh, and Tyler, just so you know, I still have my bag of survival.
I assumed you never said that you. Yeah.
I just walk around fully loaded.
Alright. It was a total of 8 points of damage. 5 plus 3.
8 points of damage, not bad. So yeah, your arrow manages to streak out and clip one of these things in the wing. That brings it to Sarge.
Alright, which one did he aim at? Can you click it?
He aimed at this one.
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead, pull out my short bow.
Okay. So you guys watch as she pulls out this small satchel pouch thing. It looks almost like a coin purse, and she unties the drawstrings, opens it, reaches in, and pulls out a short bow and a quiver of 20 arrows. That brings it to Chiaki, who is just done with this shit. And then it brings it to...
I don't blame her. I can't get too mad about that.
I can't either.
This one flies across the deck of the ship. If it lets me. And when he gets to about here, his tail lights up. And... boop. I need... does... 13... So... Does 25 hit you, Shinaru, and does it hit you, Sarge?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait a minute, yeah, no, it does.
Wait, no, it's specifying it's a ray, so it only hits... Okay, so it would only hit the first one. So it hits you, Shinaru, yes?
Yes.
Alright. And for him, that is the younger one. 2d6. It does 6 points of damage. 6 points of electricity damage to you, Shinaru. Actually, no, it only does 5. Because Lord Thatcher is here, and his aura reduces damage by 1.
Sweet.
That brings it to this Arrowhawk.
Wait a minute, did the guy with the freaking tower shield just go crawl behind the 4-foot door?
That was actually, I was moving him to see if I was accidentally on top of Robbie.
Okay.
No, I'm next to Shinaru. I'm on his left.
I do not see you. No, okay, I see. So you're under Shinaru.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not where you're showing up. You're showing up underneath him.
I'm showing up right here on us.
Yeah, I see you there too.
Okay, now he is. Now, okay, we're good. All right, that does bring it to this one, who also begins flying down, swooping down across the deck of the ship. When he gets to about here, he also lets off an attack. Does 26 hit you, Shinaru?
Yes, indeed it does.
That is 11 points total of electricity damage.
Is that including the -1?
Yeah, that is including the -1. Before he then continues on and swoops upwards. And this one would have actually finished his movement over here. And then this one kind of flies past, and you hear a crackle of lightning, but you don't see anything. And then he ends his turn over there. Okay, that brings it to Ravi.
Alright, I'm just gonna cast a... I'm gonna do a Cure Light Wounds on Shinaru.
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
+9 is 14.
14. Okay, he heals for 14 points of damage.
I'll try to keep you alive. I make no promises.
No promises.
That's my turn.
Okay, that brings it back to Shinaru.
Just back full map, so I feel you.
I guess at this point I'll go ahead and see and try to hit that one. This one will be a rounded shot. That'll be a full action, right?
Yes, I'm sorry, can you ping one more time which one you're firing at? Okay, yes, so it'll be a full round action, and it should be at +9 instead of +11.
Right. Nope. I got
Natural
18 plus 9 is 27, and 6 plus 9 is 15.
The first one hits, the second one goes wild and sails into the ocean.
Alright. 7 plus 3 is 10.
10. Oh, this one's looking pretty rough. That brings it to Sarge. Your turn.
I'm gonna go ahead and try to shoot an arrow at the same one.
You cannot see it from where you are.
It's in the air, isn't it?
Yes, and you're under...
I'm kind of standing in the doorway.
There is
What?
I'm standing in
Wall
the room,
here.
we're all sitting inside the room.
There's a wall here. There's a wall here. You're underneath in the... That's still underneath. Give me a second and I can put the other one up, but you would have to go out to the staircase and then up.
Oh,
You gotta get here to see him. Or be where he's not understanding.
okay. So there? Can I see it?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and try to take my pot shot at that guy.
Okie dokie.
Does 19 hit?
19 just barely misses. That does bring it to...
Can I use the rest of my movement to go kind of...
No, there is a specific feat you have to take in order to be able to move, attack, and then
Okay.
move. That does bring it to Chiaki, who is still just done with this day. And that brings it to Arrowhawk. This one is, I guess I have to get onto the right layer, going to get to about here. And Sarge does 13 plus. Does 22 hit?
Yeah.
You take 6 points of electricity damage total. This one flies here and does 21 hit. Wait, yeah, does 21 hit. Okay. You take 5 points of electricity damage total. And this one... And I'm assuming 13 misses?
This does, yeah.
Okay. So yes. You've taken 6 and 5 points of damage. And that brings it to Ravi.
Alright, I'm gonna use my last healing wounds on... I can reach Sarge, right? Since he's right there?
Yeah, you can. You can just reach around and tap him on the shoulder blade.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna reach around.
I bet you say that a lot. Go ahead and roll.
Yeah. 9 and 6 is 15 points.
Alright, Sarge, you heal up 15 points. That brings it back to Shinru.
Am I still able to see with...
From the doorway, you're able to see this one, and you're able to see this one. That one would be crossing through the wall in 2 sections, so no, you cannot see that one. This, if it lets me... this is the one that you have been attacking.
I'll go ahead and aim toward that one. And I'll go ahead and do a... I'm going to do a rapid shot again toward it.
And I'm sorry, which one are you aiming towards?
Number 1.
Okay.
That one. 16 plus 9.
So it's 25 for the first.
Okay.
And even higher, so 27.
That hits. They both hit.
Hey, Tyler?
Yeah.
I have a +2 on magic resistance. Is that like a spell or is that like an attack?
That is against spells and spell-like abilities. It does not seem to be affecting this thing. It's for saving throws.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking. I wrote these notes like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's always good. If you're not sure about something, ask. Unless you've already asked like 5 times in the session, then just remember. But you're good. Don't be Laura. So yeah, both of us hit. Go ahead and roll.
He did roll.
Oh, what?
15 damage for both, in all.
I'm sorry. Total of 15.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that drops this one. It just lets out a loud pterodactyl-like screech, filled with whistles, and it drops into the water. There are 2 left, and that brings it to Sarge.
I guess I'll go ahead and try to hit this thing.
Okay. Can certainly try.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Does 20 hit?
Yes. Yes, it does. Just barely.
Oh. Okay. I get...
4, not bad. 12. That brings it to Chiaki, which brings it to this one. Oh yeah, you have movement if you would like it.
I'd like to crouch over.
Okay, you are now back inside with no visual on them. That brings it to this one. And does 14 misses you, correct, Shinaru?
Yes.
Okay. And this one? And 14 again would miss you. So that brings it to Ravi.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, you know how I have healing hands, which adds my charisma modifier to my healing spells?
Yes.
Does that include cure minor wounds?
It would, but what it does... Yes. Yes, it does for... Yes.
It would?
It would. I believe it's any conjuration healing spell, and that is a conjuration healing spell. So yes, your cure minor wounds heal 4 damage.
I'm going to cast cure minor wounds on Shinaru. And give him a whopping 4 HP.
4? Okay, that brings him up to 22.
Every little bit helps.
Now,
I don't want to burn my cure moderate.
I will admit, I could be wrong about that. I will double check later, but for right now, I don't see why it would not work with that.
Okay. I just thought of that. I was like, yeah.
That brings it to... you have movement if you would like.
Nope, I'm staying in the corner where I can't be touched.
Okay, that brings it to Shinaru.
Alright, I'll go ahead and do a rapid shot. Probably at adults, because I've seen that one last time, I believe.
Oh, you can see him now? Cool. Oh, no, never mind. That's silly. You can always see the... Gotcha. Okay, yeah, so you're firing at adult.
So your rapid shot. So 18 is the first. We miss it.
And then that's 19.
And this one 19 plus 9.
28.
The second one does manage to hit.
8 points damage.
All right, not bad. You managed to once again successfully hit the adult. You said 8, correct?
Yeah.
All right. You managed to successfully hit this slightly larger, slightly longer version of this creature, clipping its wing, and it lets out a whistling hiss at you, and that brings it to Sarge's turn.
Alright. I'm speaking around muscles again. Oh, and I'm gonna go ahead and take a shot at that one.
Okay.
That does not hit. That's gonna be a 16.
16 total? Yeah, that does not hit. That brings it to Chiaki. Is going to, I have to get on the right layer. Poke her head out, so she's going to go about right here, and she raises a crossbow, and Megan, yes it is, but you don't know that yet. You haven't tried it.
It was delicious, by the way.
With her crossbow, Chiaki misses. That brings it to adults. And does 18 hit your armor class? Yes. Sarge, yes.
18, oh, I don't get Thatcher's protection, do I?
That's only when you are adjacent. He can't use his shield to block you from... Just hit. Okay. That does... Ooh, that's a little high. That does 13 points of electricity damage.
Fuck this shit.
And that brings it to this one, who is also, I'm assuming a 12 misses, so that brings it to Ravi's turn.
Yeah.
Have you adjusted your roll 20 yet?
Huh?
Michelle, have you edited
I'm
your?
doing it right now.
Okay.
Hold on.
There it goes.
But it is Ravi's turn.
Sarge is still looking okay-ish, so I'm gonna use another Cure Minor Wounds on Shinaru.
Okie dokie, that's your second 0 level spell, and that brings it to.
Because I used Detect Magic earlier.
Ah, you did, yes. I was going to give you that for free, but thank you for reminding me. That brings it to Shinaru's turn, unless you would like to move.
Nope. I like my corner. I am safe.
All right.
Let's see. Can I still see about where he's at from my position?
Where he's at from your position? No. Both of them are going through corners of the wall, so you cannot see either of them from your position.
Alright.
You
I'll
can
go
push me out of the way.
I'll go ahead and step to the right of Sarge.
Well, we can literally trade places.
No, that was something I was just letting you do for that last session of the last campaign. That's not actually... It would be you'd have to take an action to move you. It would involve grappling and all that stuff.
Alright, so if I move here, can I see adult?
Yes, you can see both of them.
Alright, so I'll go ahead and do my normal shot, obviously, since toward adult. 14 plus 11 is 25.
That hits.
Alright. 3 plus 3 is 6.
6. Alright, he's 6. So that's gonna be 16. He's looking exactly rough.
Exactly.
That does bring it to Sarge's turn.
Alright, we can go ahead and take my pot shot.
Okay.
Nope, I'm not even gonna bother telling you what I rolled.
Was
Yeah,
it
no.
a natural 20?
Seriously.
Okay, that brings it to... Chiaki is again going to take her crossbow, and she is going to have to step out. If I can get onto the... There we go. Ooh! She might have just got a crit.
Whoa!
She did not get a crit. But she does manage to deal 5 points of damage to the one that currently does not have a name. And it is looking pretty rough now. That brings it to adults. Sorry.
Oh shit.
And Shinaru does... That hits, yes.
I'm bad.
You take 10 points of damage.
Ow. Okay.
Specifically electric damage. That does bring it to the unnamed one, who flies over here. And Sarge does... 21 would hit, yes?
Yeah.
And you take 8 points of electricity damage. Which
8?
bring... Yeah, 8. And that brings it to Ravi's turn.
Hello.
Brings it to...
Ravi's turn.
Oh, okay. You cut out. I'm gonna use a. I'm gonna use a cure moderate wounds on him.
I appreciate that.
Yup. Yeah, I'm glad I probably use that. You get 15 points.
50. Cool.
And that brings it to Shinaru.
Alright. I will try to do my rapid shot toward. Do another rapid shot toward adult here. Because he needs to go down. That'd be 11 plus 9 is 20 even.
That just barely hits.
And the second one misses with 5 plus 9.
Alright. So yes, your first one hits.
Max damage.
Max damage, so 8 plus 3, 11.
11. He is looking pretty rough.
Alright.
And that brings it to Sarge.
Alright, hit by that again.
Okay.
I'll just take the board. 24.
That hits.
For
4. Okay. He's looking...
no. Hold on. Stand by. 2 damage. 2 hit.
2 damage? Okay.
Yeah.
And that brings us to Chiaki, who is going to fire her crossbow. And that does... she manages to drop this one. And that brings it to... Adult is the only one left. It's going to fly over here. And... that also hits. And Shinaru, you take 9 points of damage.
Alright.
And I need Sarge and Shinaru to make spot checks.
Oh, 24.
Okay.
I got 29 with a natural 19.
That is fantastic. Up the this side of the ship, you see a thick white. It's like a mixture of some kind of haze and some kind of fog begin to crawl up and over onto the deck of the ship. It is Ravi's turn, though.
Okay. I'm gonna scoot over here, and since muscles is low, I'm gonna use a cure moderate wounds on him.
Okay. Not too bad.
I looked like shit last time. Fuck you. Ooh, that's really good, actually. What, the 14, 11, 25, which puts you at max. Woohoo!
That's a really good attack.
I healed you 25 freaking hit points. Alright.
That's impressive.
That does bring it to Shinaru's turn.
Oh shoot. I'm gonna pretty much, as I'm taking my shot toward adult, ask Sarge if he sees the spot coming.
Okay.
Yeah, I was hoping no one else saw that because then I could have ignored it, but yeah, I see it coming.
What the?
18 for a normal shot plus 11.
Oh yeah, that hits.
4 plus 3 is 7.
All right, you take aim at this final strange creature, and as your arrow impacts it, and it begins to fall towards the water, with the last bit of its life force drained away, you do notice that there seems to be a slight breeze whipping up now, in the general area that you're in. That does bring it to Sarge's turn.
So what we're seeing right now is just that mist. You fight.
It's a thick like mixture between fog and smoke that's pulling up over the side of the ship, and it seems to be focusing into this particular square.
Which one?
Which one?
This one, 10 feet in front of Squirrel.
This one?
Yes, that one.
Alright. I was gonna say, we didn't see any pains.
Okay. Good to know. Can I use a pencil?
Your muscles. What do you reckon that is?
Would I recognize any kind of fog like this?
You can make a survival check to see.
15 plus 1, so 16.
This is not any kind of fog that you recognize, but it also does not look like normal fog. So it looks a little concerning. Like you get the sensation that this is not a natural phenomenon.
I've never seen anything like this. This is not normal, guys.
It is Sarge's turn, though.
Oh.
You know, just running to shoot an arrow at it. Is it where I can like actually shoot an arrow through it?
It is beginning to pull upwards, almost like it's maybe trying to take a shape. So yes, you can fire an arrow at it if you would like.
See if it's got any actual substance, or it is just fog at this point.
Yep, that is a perfect idea.
You say that now. 14.
14. You manage to hit the general area of the fog, but as soon as the arrow slams into the fog, it begins to slow down like it's meeting some kind of resistance, and then it gets pushed back out of the fog and falls to the ground, disappearing because it is a magic arrow from your bag.
Huh. Well, that's
At which point, it brings it to Chiaki, who, seeing this as well, and seeing that you guys are over on the other side, she's going to make her way over here. At which point, it brings it to its turn, and it finishes consolidating, and before you, you see... Rah,
Ew.
which actually... okay, so Sarge, you're 1, Squirrel, you're 2, Chiaki is 3. So, 1. Okay. Sarge, this creature floats towards you, entering into your square. I need you to make a fortitude save
Oh, shit.
to avoid breathing any of it in.
not bad. My fortitude's a +7 modifier.
It's actually, it would be plus 10 because of Thatchard's minor aura.
Oh yeah, so 26.
Yeah, you successfully do not inhale any of this creature. It does, however, still take
That's what
2 of
all
it.
those politicians say they did not inhale.
Well, it depends on what you mean is.
Is.
But 2 of these smoke-like wings begin to take... Sorry, 1 of these smoke-like wings begins to take a bit more of a physical shape. Does... 15 misses, correct?
Me?
Yes, Sarge.
15 does. Oh, yeah, 15 does.
Awesome. That brings it to Ravi's turn.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is incorrect. It actually is a large-sized creature.
Oh! There we go. That chicken salad.
I can't really reach it or
Well, not with that attitude.
I only get a dodge bonus on giant, not large, right?
No, when it says giant, it means like giants, as in like cloud giants, hill giants.
Giant,
Yeah, no, it's not a size thing; it's a creature thing.
Okay, you're 4'4". Everything that big looks giant.
No, but again, it's not a size thing; it is a creature thing. So like,
It's the creature type.
so like cloud giants, hill giants, fire giants.
Oh, okay, actual giant.
Yes. Yeah. That does bring to Ravi. It is still your turn. I don't think you said you did anything.
I'm just gonna do the only thing I know how to do, and I'm just gonna be like, cure minor wounds on Sarge and use my amulet to also heal myself.
Okay, yeah, using a charge of your amulet. Okay, that's the first charge today. That does bring it.
Bless you and save you.
That brings it to Shinaru.
I guess I will. See.
You do have your falchion with you.
I was getting ready to probably switch to that.
Okay.
Now does that take
It takes a move action to pull it out, or as part of a move action, like if you're walking somewhere, you can pull it out for free.
Can I reach it where I'm at right now?
Yeah, I mean it's on your side or on your back. Oh, you mean the creature? Yeah, the creature is
Yeah, you can retrieve it right there.
you can
Okay,
you can
I'll
reach
go
it.
ahead.
You're like, dude, it's right freaking there.
Alright, I'll go ahead and pull my falchion out and
Dun, dun, dun.
take a swing at this thing. So I decide to try to go inside the sledge. 18 plus, actually,
18.
18 is a possible critical for my falchion.
Yeah, it is.
It is a possible critical for your falchion.
Alright. And 2 plus 8, I don't.
If it makes you feel any better, this type of creature is actually immune to critical hits anyways.
Oh, okay. It does.
But you
No, I
do
don't feel any better. No.
you do
I would
hit.
assume a 26 hits. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it hits. He definitely got hit.
Alright. About 5 plus 3 is 8.
So you slash into this creature, but at the moment, it seems as though its body is entirely made out of smoke and fog and smog and such, and your blade just kind of cuts through it, and then the swath that you cleared begins to reform rapidly. It's almost as though it has some kind of damage reduction that is reducing your damage to 0. That does bring it to Sarge's turn. Sarge.
Whose turn is it?
Sarge.
Alright, I'm gonna take my newly purloined great axe. The got 12. Yeah. And I'm gonna swing at the Ichabod thing of doom.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
I got nothing else. 9, 27.
27 hits.
Yeah. Oh fuck! I gotta find my D12. Stand by. 11 plus 4 is 15.
So again, cutting through it, it seems like a good portion of the damage is being mitigated, but some of the damage does manage to get through, and a section that you cut through does not immediately reform. So you feel like you how much damage did you roll?
11 plus 4, 15.
15? Okay. It looks as though around 5 points of damage managed to stick.
Well, that's interesting.
That does bring it to Chiaki, who is going to use a full retreat action to get to about here. She's not had a good last couple 24 hours. That brings it to this thing. And it's at this point that you see it's starting to look less like fog or like a gaseous creature, and it's starting to solidify, and it looks much more solid now than it has previously. Oh, I'm going to need more dice. Sarge, does 11 and a 17 both miss, correct?
They do indeed.
Alright, it swings at you with both of its wings, missing wildly. It reaches out to bite you with its maw. Does 24 hit?
Yeah.
And it begins to slash at you with 2 claws, which both miss. So it only hits you with its bite attack. You take 1d4 plus 1 damage. You take 4 points of damage total. And that brings it to Ravi.
Okay. I'm gonna take a 5-foot step to there. And I'm gonna try and hit it.
As you do that, make a listen check real quick before you.
A listen check?
Yeah, a listen check. DC 10.
14, so.
Alright, as you start to look like you're about to move, you hear Thatcher say, "No, wait, stop, don't."
Okay, then I won't.
Okay.
I can't see. Sarge, what are you at hit point wise?
So you're asking how am I feeling?
Yeah, there's a freaking monster in my way. I can't see your HP bar. There we go.
Yeah. I'm gonna look at 43.
I'm gonna give you a little top off and burn a belt charge.
Okay.
I'm rolling on shit tonight. And just trying to help. Oh wow, that was pretty good. 11.
Cool.
Okay. And did you want to move at all?
No, I'm gonna listen to Thatcher, I guess.
Okay. It is his turn. He has an initiative of 1. He is going to move into the same space, which means, Sarge, you now get the +2 bonus to your armor class.
Where?
And he gets to make an attack roll with his bastard sword.
I don't know how this kid stays up already.
Unfortunately, he misses with only hitting an AC 19, but that does bring it to Shinaru's turn.
I guess I'll go ahead and try to take another swing, even though it didn't feel like it did anything. Let's see if I can-
Oh, it was a lot more ephemeral, it was foggy earlier.
12 plus 8 is 20.
20 misses.
Jesus Christ.
You're for
You do have a move action if you would like to try to take one.
Slang this guy.
you can certainly try.
I'm gonna try to take a just 5-foot step up.
Okay. That does not provoke an attack of opportunity because it is just a 5-foot step. That does end your turn, though. Which brings it to Sarge.
Alright, gonna take another swingy.
With your great axe still?
Yeah, I'm still
Okay.
I'm still holding. I mean, I'm fully loaded for bear, but yeah, right now I'm swinging the great axe. Yeah, that's not gonna hit. That's an 8.
Yeah, 8 misses.
Whatever, yeah.
That brings it to Chiaki, who is actually going to head downstairs real quick, and that brings it to... Okay. This is against you, Shinaru. Does a 18 hit?
Yep, native.
And does a, I'm assuming a 27 hits.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one wing attack against you. This one is against Sarge. Does 18 hit?
No.
Okay. And this one is against Sarge. That's a nat 20, so that hits, and it might be a critical. And this is against Sarge. And I'm assuming a 17 misses. Okay, so this is the confirmation for the critical. That's a 2, so no. Alright, so that was one wing attack against Shinaru and one bite attack against Sarge. Okay, Shinaru, you take 2 points of damage. Sarge, you take 1 point of damage. That brings it to Ravi's turn.
I can't do much to this thing.
Megan, how many points of healing did you give me before today added?
I give you, for my belt, I gave you 11.
Okay, I did not add that. My bad. I was like, that looked fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you should be at 57.
Okay.
I can do nothing.
I mean, you can take a 5 foot. You can take a 5-foot step.
Yeah, and I don't want to get hit, so I'd rather not. I'm gonna stay where I'm at.
You're assuming he can't already hit you.
Fair.
Okay, then that brings it to Thatchered. Initiative of 1. No, that misses. That brings it to Shinaru.
Alright, let's see. I am going to go ahead and try to take another 5-foot step up here. And then go ahead and try to take a swing with my full shot again.
Okay.
That is probably going to miss with a 2 plus 8.
Strangely enough, it does.
Oh.
That brings it to Sarge.
Alright. Swinging a great axe. What the hell is it? 25?
25 hits?
Okay, D12 bitches. Alright. Yeah, we're not gonna get too cocky about that. That was a 3 plus 4. Yeah? 7.
7. Alright. Now, strangely enough, this time, since it seems to have become more solid, it actually cuts into it, and it doesn't seem to have any damage reduction at the moment. That brings it to Chiaki. Okay, that brings it to the creature. Okay. So since you've been doing the most damage to it, all of these are against you, Sarge. Does a 25 and a 26 hit?
Yeah.
Okay. Does a 16 misses, correct?
16.
And a 23 hits?
Yeah.
Okay. And that misses. Okay, so 2 wings and a claw.
Can I substitute 2 of the wings for a chicken breast?
No, you cannot. But for making that pun, you do take 15 points of psychic damage. No, but you do take.
15 points of psychic damage.
It doesn't understand you. 6. Okay, so you take 7, 5, and 2.
14.
Yeah, 14 points of damage total. And that does bring it to Ravi's turn.
Alright, I'm gonna take a 5-foot step, and I'm gonna wing it, and I'm gonna try and hit this thing with my... whatchamacallit?
Logitech.
Yeah, that.
It's like Logitech, but it's more reliable.
17!
Total?
Yeah.
That misses. That brings it to Setchard. That misses. That brings it to Shinaru.
Strike behind this thing. Move there.
The 5-foot step.
And take a swing with my falchion yet again.
You are now considered in a flanking position, and from what I can see, it is not immune to flanking, so you get an additional +2 on your attack.
Okay.
Oh, no, I lied. No, it says it right there, not subject to critical. Okay, so you don't get that extra +2.
8 plus 11 is 19.
That misses.
Do we get a point?
You do not. We just covered that.
Oh, sorry.
That does bring it to Sarge's turn.
Swing. Oh, wow. Actually, didn't do too bad. 26?
That hits.
What is the modifier? +4, 15.
Okay. That seems to have done quite a lot of damage. Like, it's looking really rough. That does bring it down to its turn, though. It again, you see its form begin to dissolve slightly and become more smoke-like and more transparent and see-through. And it moves. I need both Sarge and Ravi to make fortitude saves. Remember, you both get an additional +3.
Oh, plus.
21.
Okay.
Yeah. Math.
Same.
21.
That's enough. Neither of you are affected by the. Neither of you inhale it, but it does. These are against Sarge. first one misses, and I assume a 27 hits?
Yeah.
Okay. So one wing attack hits. This is the bite. The bite misses, and the 20 misses, correct?
No, that just hits. 'cause
Okay.
I have, yeah.
Okay, so a wing and a claw both hit you. So you take 6 points of damage, and you take 3 points of damage. So 9 total. And that brings it to Ravi's turn.
Swingy, swingy. Because I can't do much else. 17 again.
That, I believe, does currently hit.
Oh, shit.
It loses when it becomes more gaseous, it loses its natural armor.
I like that.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll.
5.
You managed to cut through it, but you hit the part that is mostly smoke and air, and it really quickly reforms. It looks as though its damage reduction reduced your damage to 0. That brings it to Shinaru's turn.
I'm gonna go ahead and try to hit with my falchion yet again, I guess. Try using a different dice. See if it nope. 4 plus 8 is 12.
4 plus 8 is 12. 12 does miss.
Alright, and then I'll go ahead and take a step back.
Okay. That brings it to Sarge's turn.
Yeah, I'm gonna go swing at it.
Swing, bada bada.
16 hit.
Sorry, I need 1 second. It does.
Okay. Oh, she dropped it. Bye-bye. That is 10 plus 4 is 14.
14 damage?
Yeah.
It looks like a pretty large portion of that got reduced, but it still took a decent hit, and it is looking, so far as you can see it, because it is somewhat transparent and see-through, it does seem to be grimacing, and it does seem to be in a lot of pain. That brings it to... Oh, would you like to move at all?
Yeah, I'm going to take a couple of steps back, because I was going to step back.
Okay.
I'm starting to hurt.
And that brings it to its turn. I again am going to need you, Ravi, to make a fortitude save.
I still have the +3 from Patrick, right?
Correct. That is as long as you're within 60 feet of him.
Ooh, 15?
Oh, that just barely makes it. These two are against you, Ravi. Does a 15 and a 28 both hit you, I believe?
The 15 is my AC, so...
Yes, we've been doing the actual rules where you just have to beat it the entire time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both hit.
Okay, and then this bite attack is also against you. That hits, and these two claw attacks are against Thatcher. And one of them hits. Okay, so you, Ravi, take 10 points of damage total.
Alright.
And I did say that the bite missed you, correct?
No, the bite hit.
Okay, thank you. That is just a d4, so that is... you take 2 points from the bite, and Thatcher takes 3 points. And that brings it to your turn, Ravi.
And I'm cornered. Thank you, Sarge.
You're welcome.
No kidding.
I'm like at half here, so I'm playing a little more cautious.
I was gonna say, you could have said something and I would have backed up and healed you.
I did. I say I'm hurting.
I didn't hear you.
And it's at this point that Thatcher shouts out, "Perhaps we should work on our communication skills after the fight.
No.
We can workshop it."
No.
I'm gonna swingy. I've got the better do. Natural 20.
Well, that hits. Go ahead and roll damage.
Oh no, yeah, it's immune to crits. Okay. D8 plus 2. 9.
9. You manage to cut through it with expert precision, but unfortunately it looks as though its damage reduction is enough to reduce the damage to 0.
Damn it.
That brings it to Moose.
Alright,
Oh, I lied. It's Thatcher. But think about what you want to do. He is going to attack. I believe that just barely hits. I have to double check. Yeah, okay, that just barely hits, and it looks as though about 2 points of damage managed to make it through the damage reduction. This thing is looking really rough. He's also going to slide over, which means, Ravi, your armor class is now considered 2 higher because he is using his shield to block part of your exposed areas. That does bring it to Shinaru.
I'm going to go ahead and actually swap to my bow at this point and try to take a shot at it real quick. See if that does anything. 18 for the attack roll.
That hits. The arrow seems to slam into it, and as soon as it begins to pass through the fog and the smog and the haze, it begins to slow down to a stop, and then almost like it's a reverberation effect, it bounces back out and falls and clatters to the ground. It brings it to Sarge's turn. It took no damage. Its damage reduction reduced the attack to 0.
I'm going to go ahead and come back over there. And swingy.
Okay.
Uh, 11. Oh, yeah, it's just 11.
11 misses. That brings it to its turn. It begins to solidify once more, and it's going to take these two against... one of these is against Ravi, one of these is against Thatcher. Both of them hit. Bite attack against Thatcher hits, and then 2 claws attacks against Ravi. It does 9 and 17.
17's minute armor class with Thatcher.
Okay. Alright, so, Ravi, you take 4 and 1... You take 5 points total.
Yeah.
And Thatcher takes 3 points. And that brings it to Shinaru's turn.
I guess... I'll go ahead and try to do a a rapid shot this time.
Okay.
I can't even see that.
11 plus 9 is
20 total.
20 total for first. That's a 2. 2 plus 9 is 11. The same.
They both miss. Did you want to... you can still take a 5-foot step if you would like.
No, I'm good right now.
Okay. That brings it to Sarge.
Please me. Uh, 24 hit.
Just barely. Or a little more than just barely. Yes, it does hit. It hits quite well.
Oh, max damage. 12 plus 4.
Well, it had 2 hit points left, so how would you like to try to do this?
Ooh, I got 2 in a row. How do I want to do this? Like,
No, how do you want to try to do this?
how do I want Sarge to do this? I just scream at it and go, I am so tired of this fucking shit. I want to get on land, and I just swing like an MLB baseball player in his prime at this thing.
All right. Yeah, your great axe just slides through it, and this time it does not begin to reform. It just starts to dissipate. It hangs there for a second, split in half, each half beginning to fade and dissipate into the wind. And it's at this point that you notice that the wind is actually starting to come back to normal. It looks like we've been here for about 2.5 hours, I think. I think it's getting close to when we want it to stop, correct? Well, we've been here almost 3 hours.
Yeah. It's close to the 3 hour mark,
Yeah. So, I feel like that's a decent place to stop, yes?
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right, I will, I'll post what your guys' experience and all that is.
As far as like for experience, like do we have a starting experience since we're starting at level 5, or are we just pretty much at 0?
No, you are starting at level 5. I'll when I make the post, I'll include what you had, what you got, and then what your new total is, and then going forward, I'll just be giving you how much you're getting with each session.
Okay.
That's a good question, though. No, if you were starting at 0 experience, it would be like a year before you leveled up.
Okay. That's okay.
Heads up, I do want to inform you that you guys did miss some loot on the other ship.
What do we look
at this loot?
Because only one of you went over and looted, and you didn't get a very high search check.
I tried.
You tried.
To be fair, Robbie's not really in it for the loot.
And that's good to know.
Alright, so quick question, guys. As far as like next time, I am going to be traveling.
Well, we're definitely not doing next week.
Okay, we're not doing anything next week?
Anything next week. I don't have anything else prepared. Like, this session, I literally pulled together, like, from the time I told you I woke up and it stuck, to the time we started. That's why it was so bad.
I wouldn't call it bad.
I would call it bad.
That was actually fun.
I was gonna say.
Improv all around. Yeah, I just want to know how much to my crap I should take on each trip. Look at this, when I'm traveling. So.
Yeah, next week, definitely not. The week after, we can talk about it, but I initially just planned us to play like one day this week, and then not to play again until you got back from your second trip.
Okay.
But not next week, but the week after, at the last week of August, if we want to try to schedule something, we can totally do that.
Yeah, because with me, I'm not going to be switching over to Starbucks immediately when I get back, but it's going to start, so I don't know what my schedule's going to be.
Fucking whack.
Well, don't worry. If we have to, we can just switch you out for another player.
Okay, fine.
We'll just replace you with Aspen.
Aspen is welcome to join as soon as she actually gets in touch with me and starts making a character. She hasn't messaged me since I initially messaged her, so she's still on the list.
I'll let her know.
But my experience after the experience with playing with Laura, I'm not gonna push players to actually do their if they don't have time to do it. That just means they don't have time to play.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Alright. Liz and I gotta go, so...
Have fun, kids. Don't do anything I would do.
That'll be much fun.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Night. Alrighty.
You heading off too?
And a little bit, yeah. I'm just writing everything I had down, so make sure I had all my notes in there.
Yes.
I want to know what that freaking crystal does.
It is you get from your experience as a dwarf, and your experience with augmentation crystals. You do know that it is a least augmentation crystal, but until you actually use it and observe its effects for one or two times, you won't really get an idea of what it is doing.
Now, do I have to activate it, or is it because it's on the weapon, it just automatically activates?
If it's on the weapon, once you have to make sure that I hear you say that you're putting it onto the weapon, or if you
using the great axe with the.
Okay, see, I did not know that. I did not hear that part.
I'm sorry. I thought I had said it. Maybe I did.
I think you probably said, and I'm seeing it now on your sheet. I think I heard you say you were putting it in, but I thought you were putting it in with your Uragosh, because I thought you said that you were taking your Uragosh's True Death crystal out and putting it off on its own and putting one of the unknown ones in. That's what I heard, but there was some ambient noise and stuff, so that was probably just me not hearing everything that you were saying.
And I might have been mumbling because I was trying to find what the. I may not even have said it. I might have just assumed and put it on there in trying to get it into the character sheet, so I had the stats for me.
Well, I will, when I go through tonight's audio, I will find out, and if it turns out that you did say what it does, I will message you telling you what it does, because you would have noticed.